Hey, yo, welcome back to Absolute Intense Wrestling's The Card is Going to Change. My name is Ronald Two Legs, and as always, I am joined by Absolute Intense Wrestling owner, John Thorne. What is up, Thorne?
We've been trying to do this one since last week.
Dude, I know. I've had, if the phrase, if it ain't one thing, it's another, it isn't like ringing true for me, man. But I didn't want to get into it. We kind of sorry. I don't want to burden anyone with my problems. But we're getting it done. We're here. We're on the pod. We're in the studio.
We're in the studio.
How was your little break? I mean, we haven't seen each other since 2 Fridays ago, Friday and a half ago now. Since the Roxy show.
Friday and a half, is that official terminology? Friday and a half?
Yeah, right. I mean, today, what if today's Wednesday, right?
Yeah, recording this on a Wednesday evening. Just got back from the chiropractor, feeling pretty loose.
Nice. Start shooting. You're nice and loose.
Yeah, I'm loose.
Oh, we're just coming off Barely Lethal at the Roxy back in Lakewood, second time in Lakewood. How you feeling after that show?
Well, I feel good. I feel not good. You know, yeah. It's a mixed bag. I really enjoy the shows at the Roxy. Yeah. I think it's exactly the vibe that we were looking for. I'm hopeful that the Globe Iron is going to be a very similar vibe with just more seating available. Mm-hmm. But, you know, it's really kind of the vision that I had last summer, you know, about going to these kind of mid-level, mid-size, smaller rooms, and, you know, you put a ring in there, and then you get a couple hundred people in there, and it looks awesome, and it's a cool vibe. So I really enjoy that, but much to like even Pedro's like, I just don't get you, man. Like it was we didn't sell it out, so that was a little discouraging as far as I'm concerned, not being able to sell it out when we sold it out so kind of easily in January, and then coming back with 2 names and not being able to sell it out. I mean, it was close, but it still wasn't a sellout, so we missed it by about 50 tickets. So, I mean, still, you know, like 450-some people in that building was awesome.
Yeah. Really hot crowd all night, too. I feel like, and that's part of what you're talking about. Everyone, it's hard not to be engaged, you know what I mean? Like, no matter what in that building, you're into it, you know what I mean?
But you know, it is discouraging when I'm like in this kind of weird, what should I do? Should we stay? Should we go mode? And like, you know, not being able to sell that out, I go, oh God, this isn't good, you know? Yeah. It just makes you, you know, it can be a little discouraging, you know, and like Pedro said, you know, he's like, you know, 450 plus people is still great. But my reply was, well, we sold it out last time, you know, like that, you know, that becomes a goal. I just never find myself kind of getting complacent, I guess, with whatever we do. So, you know, I look at that as a bad metric as far as I'm concerned. And it was, you know, yeah, it was good. You know, the bills got paid, all that stuff. But, you know, just from a sense of, are we trending up or are we trending down? Like, that's obviously a trend down. So I look at that as, you know, as a failure, in my book, because, you know, we were able to sell it out 2 months earlier.
Yeah. I mean, that becomes, you know, the mark that you're looking for once you sell it out the first time, you know, especially that anything less than that, I know you pretty well. It's going to be a disappointment in your book. I'm with Pedro. I think the 450 was nothing to scoff at. Like I said, the crowd was super hot all night. Everyone was into it. It was a great night, and the building was great.
Yeah, no, I
I
think
can
it's
understand what you mean, though.
I think it's great. You know, I'm hopeful. You know, they're happy with it. But yeah, you know, it's just you know, one of those things to kind of put in the, you know, decisions sort of thing that I've been, you know, mulling over these last few months. And you know, there's a lot of people that wanted to be there that couldn't be there. You know, I know Stacy and Pam, they had kind of a medical thing going on on the way to the venue, so I hope everything's okay with them. Same thing with Russell Williams. There's a lot of, you know, regular fans that actually bought tickets and ended up not being able to make it due to medical emergencies, strangely enough, multiple people. But, you know, at the same time, those tickets still, you know, they were bought and paid for, you know, already. So they're kind of in that final number that we got. But hopefully, you know, everything's okay with everybody. And, you know, I'm just really hopeful that we're able to keep that positive momentum that we saw in Akron in December coming up for Gauntlet on April 26th. And then, of course, we got to get every single person imaginable in that building at the Globe Iron on May 16th. I mean, there's, no matter what happens, I want that to be, I hope we can sell it out. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, that's when you really want to represent big, you know, being at the 20th anniversary show, but then also the first show at the Globe Iron. You know, you want to build a strong rapport with those guys.
Yeah, I mean, well, hopefully, you know, like I haven't totally decided, you know, if there are going to be more shows, not going to be more shows. I guess I'm going to make a decision on that, I suppose, this week. It was strange though. It's been strange because, you know, over the weekend, Patty texted me, Chandler's mom, and like reminded me it's been 8 years since he passed away, and that really was a shocking amount of time that I did not think was even fathomable. That it's been 8 years. So, you know, that's a whole other thing to kind of throw on the wow, you know, like,
Yeah.
and she, you know, she said, you know, that's 8 years out of 20 that he's missed. And that, like, whew, man, when you like realize that is just a crazy reality check of like, where did the time go? Like, how have I been doing this for 8 years without him? Like, just a lot of different thoughts fill your head when you're, you know, when you get a text like that and you realize that, you know, that I don't know how to really explain it, but it was like really like a jarring thing to realize.
Well, one thing too is because, like you've said before, it just really just does not feel like, it feels like it would just happen. It feels like it was just yesterday, but then also it's a heavy text to get, you know, around the anniversary of when he got sick, and when he went in. We're just past the, and that was in March, I believe you said, right?
Yeah, I believe if my memory serves correct, it was like March 18th or 19th that he texted me, and you know, that whole thing began.
Yeah.
Which is shocking. And, you know, then I went back to look, and my stupid iPhone did like an auto purge of like old texts, and I lost all of my texts from Chandler, which I had saved forever. Mm-hmm. So that was a little disappointing as well to realize this week.
Yeah.
You know, not that I'm not like a person that goes back and looks at stuff like that, but, you know, I happened to to want to do that, when I was texting with Patty, and they were gone, and that was real disappointing.
It's more of like you're glad to know they're there. You're not necessarily always going back and rereading them, but you like to know that they're in there. And
it's just like years and years of conversation in that, so. Yeah. I don't know. It's just I feel weird about the whole thing, coming up on 20 years. Should we keep doing it? Should we not keep doing it? There's always this, internal strife, of trying to engage, those around us, from the school. And, sometimes you just like, I just want to throw my hands up and just be like, what am I wasting my time with all these people for? Other times it's very fulfilling, and I feel like it is necessary, and it's, I don't think we're changing anybody's lives by any means. I'm not stupid enough to think that, but, we are providing like something fun for people to do once or twice a month in Northeast Ohio. And I think people enjoy it. So,
absolutely.
There's a lot of things to weigh, like, is anybody's day going to be that much worse off if AIW doesn't exist? I don't think so. I'm realistic enough to know that. But I think, people do enjoy it at the same time. I think there is a purpose for it. So, it's just a lot of, weighing things out, and what should we do? So, yeah, and then realizing that Chandler's been gone for 8 years, that like was like a punch in the face to me this week, and I'm just like, wow, like, if it goes on for 2 more years, then that's 10 years that he hasn't been a part of it,
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's a sobering thought for real. Like I said, and especially in the in the time when it's going to be around the anniversary of when this all began, and then, like you said, the emotional roller coaster of just being a professional wrestling promoter. I've said it many times before. You definitely have a job I do not envy. You deal with a lot of crap, and it seems like it all kind of has been snowballing in a sense, which is never good to hear.
Yeah, and. There's a lot of stuff that we don't discuss in this podcast, things that happen internally.
Yeah.
Just little, it's just like a series of little problems that, when you mix it all together, it's just like, man, like, I don't know, but then we have like an awesome time with the Sandman and Fonzie and Jay Lethal and all that, and as much as I'm disappointed overall that the show did not sell out, the show itself I thought was amazing. Mm-hmm. And I thought that we provided like a great experience overall to everybody that was there. So there's pros and cons. I'm not trying to be all doom and gloom about it, but it is it's things that are being considered, and it's I guess it's just like it's just a weird thing, the Chandler thing. And I don't think people realize kind of the, how traumatic it was for a lot of people. I know you weren't within the company at that time, but there's a lot of people that carry like a lot of weird, just stuff with that.
It was interesting too. Like you said, I wasn't, even with the company, but I was a fan of the company, but a newer fan of the company. But I definitely still could you could sense and you could feel that this was a big thing. This was a company altering type situation that we were in, and I was still very even new to AIW. But you could tell, you know what I mean. It was no. I could understand that this was, weighing very heavily upon everyone, especially once it started to go downhill. At first it was just, that he was sick. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's a lot for everyone, and that was close.
Yeah, there's the people that have been around. It is, there is some sort of, I guess trauma, if you want to call it that, or something there for a lot of us. And it's. it's a juggling act, and it's just. But then it's like when you do the shows and it's successful, and like you're providing this connection for Patty and the family, and there's so many other things that play into it. Then it's just like, hey, we're just like this stupid independent wrestling company from Cleveland, it just, I don't know. To me, it just feels like so much more than that. Some people probably would disagree. I don't know, but it just AIW as a whole feels like such a different. There's just different connective fibers, I think, for the people that have gone through these experiences. Like the loss of Chandler. That sort of stuff makes you want to keep going, So it just, I don't know, I'm all in my head this last week, I guess.
Sure. But I mean, that's kind of what we kind of shifted to that once I started taking over the pod. That's kind of what we do on here. It's almost like John Thorne therapy hour when we get on here. So, I mean, if there's anywhere to kind of, dump these feelings and get this kind of stuff out, I think the podcast has been the place for it. I mean, I definitely think there's something to it, to saying some of these things out loud and just kind of speaking out loud about the problems that you have or face in AIW as a promoter. I would have to think that just kind of getting them out there helps in some way, shape, or form, Yeah,
I mean, I don't know, it's just, it's a weird thing to just get on and, talk about stuff like this. And, we're also trying to promote a product and promote events. It's just, it's strange, but I do feel like there is just a different sort of connection between the fans, especially the fans that were around in, the Chandler era. And really, that's what makes the 20th anniversary show so important, I think. There's so much that it just means so much to so many different people for different reasons. And, being able to make it to 20 years is certainly an accomplishment, but I think, as much as it was strange to me that it's been 8 years since Chandler passed away, it was also kind of like motivating in the sense that, I think he would have never let it die. Mm-hmm. So, there's that aspect of it too. So there's just a lot of, there's a lot of different things going on that I would like to make it work, but it's just hard to make it work when there's just not that cohesive unit that used to exist, and it's kind of constantly, roles are changing and some people are helping, some people aren't helping, some people help for a little bit, some people disappear, you know what I mean? So it's been hard to kind of get that cohesive unit to kind of really make it work the way that it should work, and which is why it is a struggle all the time. So, I don't know, there's just a lot of that too.
Totally understandable. Going back to the show too, I know you said we don't want to be all doom and gloom. Some good stuff coming out of Barely Lethal. I do want to just talk about Jay Lethal, man. Holy crap! We talk about a lot of our guests on here. We have very good luck with guests and how great they are. But man, was Jay Lethal great?
Yeah, he was wonderful. He was a little upset with Cool Ass Andy for a little bit, but. Thankfully, Colt Cabana was able to come to our aid and talk him down. But
there was. I was gonna say earlier too. There's been so many times where I didn't know Chandler that well, but there's just been a handful of moments where I just think to myself, "Boy, I wonder what he would be saying right now." And that one was.
Oh, Dom and I got together over the weekend. Dom and I and Duke got together over the weekend. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the things that was discussed was these AIW students have no idea how easy they have it and how actually nice I am to them compared to what would be going on if Chandler was still alive.
Yeah.
He would be unforgiving.
From what I hear, you'd be eating some of these kids alive.
And we talked about that quite in depth last weekend about how it is funny to think of all the kind of societal changes that have happened over the last 8 years, and how in 2025, if Chandler was with us, he would be relentless on some of these people for the things that they do, that we should just, tough talk doesn't work anymore with the younger people and all that stuff. And, Dom and I kind of go back and forth on that. And, man, we just said, this would be so much easier if Chandler was still here because he wouldn't give a fuck and he would just yell at everybody.
Right. That's what I've heard. Yeah, man. But yeah, Chandler with Jay Lethal too. I would have loved to see that. Just him with a lot of the guests. I like I said, I didn't know him too well, but just based on the other stories, that I've heard about him, I've loved to see him interact with some of our other guests as well.
Yeah, and before I know we're going to get into the show here, but I did from the AW Facebook post kind of asking for people to share any good memories of Chandler that they had earlier this week. Just trying to get. Sometimes stuff like that helps, Patty get, feel more connected and know more about Chandler's connection to this crazy world of wrestling. So if anybody has any, funny stories, please go to the AW Facebook and find that post and, leave them there. Obviously, Patty is certainly thinking very hard about all of this as well this week, and these months coming up are going to be very difficult, and they always are very difficult for her every year. So anything we can do to kind of put a smile on her face would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody loves Patty. She knows that. It's that's one of the things, unfortunately, that, like I said, it's an unfortunate situation, obviously, with the Chandler thing, but we did get that kind of out of this, because I don't know if Patty would have came around the way that she has, if he would have stayed healthy and with us. Obviously, it's a weird thing to think about, but man, Patty's great, and she definitely lights up the room every show she's at. I know, so many people love seeing her, speaking to her, and all that stuff. So, but yeah, definitely keep her in your thoughts this week. That's for sure.
Yeah, this week, these next couple months, obviously into June. Always very difficult for her, for all of us, but especially her. So anything we can do to, keep Patty's spirits up is, that's what we want.
I'm reminded of the famous Chandler reading the newspaper in the front row, and then I don't know what happened, but I saw a picture was Patty was doing that at a show, just sitting there in front row reading the newspaper, and it's just it's the best thing ever. Like, that is the absolute best.
I think she did it to the Duke. I can't remember, but I think she did it to the Duke.
Oh, it's too good. But yeah, getting back into Barely Lethal some more. I know we talked Jay Lethal. The Colt Cabana connection. And we talk about, the Fonzie connection a lot of times,
Fonzie had Hack in a good mood. I'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah, but we normally talk about the Fonzie connection. We get these guests that come in and, be kind of, tepid or whatever. They're not sure. And then Fonzie gets them comfortable, smooths it over. Colt did a little smoothing over there. This time it was the Colt Cabana effect this time.
Yeah, he saved cool ass Andy's ass, I'll tell you that.
And that's the thing too, couldn't be a nicer guy. There was a bit of a misunderstanding, whatever, where, you could see kind of you'd kind of give somebody the pass to be a little, upset or whatever, maybe not the nicest, but man, was he just the nicest guy? Like, he could not have been a nicer guy, man.
Yeah, he was great. He was, and he really liked the AW atmosphere, wants to come back. Was texting me, like, saying, like, how bad he wants to come back. So, he really, really, really enjoyed his time. Him and Alec Price had a fucking awesome match. Which, you know, he had a crazy travel day. He, quote, missed his flight, which is fell asleep at the gate. And
yeah, I was gonna say how specific you want to get here.
And you know, that turned into like I think he flew to like 3 cities to finally land in Cleveland. But he made it. You know, he walked in the building, you know, after the fans were already in the building, but he made it. And you know, awesome match. Awesome. So yeah, you know, I was really happy with the majority of the show. I think it was and here's the thing that, you know, we've been kind of doing is we kind of been booking for the building a little bit, as opposed for booking for a stream or anything. You know, like it's just you have to book for the building, and it works for the most part. Maybe some things I would have tried differently, but you know, you live and you learn, and you know, there's I was able to tell Eric Taylor that, you know, his first title defense, the metrics went down, so I wouldn't be getting too comfortable with that title belt at this point because we're trending down. So, you know, we got to find we got to find a top draw at the top of the mountain.
He got so mad at me right before he went through. He walked up and he had this new ring jacket, kind of like a robe sort of deal. And
his Ernest the Cat Miller jacket.
So I thought he looked kind of like the dude, like Big Lebowski. I was like, man, this is kind of cool. Like I was like, you look like the dude. And he got really mad. He's like, God damn it, Two Legs. You know, you always got something to say. And I was like, brother, that's not a diss. And he's like, oh, okay, all right. I was like, have you ever seen the movie? He's like, no. I was like, oh, that's good. The dude is good. He's cool.
Yeah, I mean, he probably wasn't even alive when that movie came out.
Yeah, probably not. But it was just funny. I was like, man, do I really always have something to say? I didn't think so. But yeah, he got really mad at me right away.
His Ernest the Cat Miller jacket, that's what I call it.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah, that did look pretty much like that one, that's for sure.
But yeah, you know, it's I really liked the way that the show played out for the most part. You know, a lot of it's just a cool energy, you know, in that room in Lakewood, getting to see the Sandman entrance, you know,
yeah,
in a packed room like that, jam packed, was fucking awesome. You know, talking about the Fonzie effect, he's like, you know, like I thought about not coming, you know, he's like, I woke up and I was like, do I want to go to Cleveland today? He's like, then I realized I'm going to spend the day with Fonzie, and you know, you never have a bad day with Fonzie, so here I am, you know.
Yeah, that was right when I walked up and we were talking about that, because I was talking about the last time we saw him, he was very worried about his flight to get out of there because the Eagles were about to play in the Super Bowl. And big Eagles fan, you know, Hack is, you know, a big Eagles guy. So he was very worried about it. And I said, I asked him, that's what kind of brought it on. I said, were you a little more relieved this time you didn't have the Super Bowl the next day? And that's when he kind of went to the, you know, you ever just wake up and you just don't want to leave and go anywhere? And then you were saying how he said, yeah, but then I got thinking, hang out with Fonzie. So, but yeah, he was a really nice, you know, really nice guy. That's for sure. This again, the second time he was great.
Yeah, he was great. And we got a lot of stuff signed from him. So you're going to see some of those WWE Elite Chase figures, autographs showing up in some of these live show raffles. We got a lot of like figures and different things autographed. So you're going to be, Pedro said, like, I wanted to put them out, and Pedro's like, no, these are going to be premium raffles. Because he says, you know, people love those, you know, legendary autographed items. And when we do the raffle, instead of doing like a traditional 50-50, we raffle off autographed items. And he was just like, no, these are going in the raffle for sure. So we got a bunch of stuff. He was awesome. His meet and greet fucking killed. Which was, you know, that helped make up for the, you know, the missed 50 tickets for sure. were the two meet and greets, especially his. Like his was, he did very, very well. The Sandman is still a fucking legend in the town of Lakewood. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was a good showing, that's for sure. And he's an interesting one too, where you can almost steal a free one when he's out in the crowd because he does so much crowd work walking around. You can, you know what I mean. Some of the lazier meet and greet people just snap.
Fucking Jersey Mike. He's always sneaking them in that front row. He's like, "Hey, brother, let me get a selfie real quick while they're doing their entrances and shit."
He's got the move down.
I see that, Mike. I see it.
But yeah, that's. Yeah, that was incredible. There was a guy front row, man, that maybe hadn't seen him the last time that he was here with us or whatever, one of the other 2 times that he was here, because he was feeling it, man. He had a great time the whole show. He had a sign that he wanted the Sandman to cane him in the head or the face or something like that. He was having a good time. But that's the biggest thing when you see people just really, that's got to be one of the things that makes it, you talk about the trials and tribulations of it. But then you see, sometimes there's 1 or 2 fans out in the crowd that you're like, man, this is what you do it for. That guy is feeling it right now,
Oh, I mean, we didn't know what the tickets were while the show was going on. It was packed. I mean, we were feeling pretty good about it. Mm-hmm. All night long. I mean, there's no denying that the place was fucking packed. So it wasn't like we were all like, ah, fuck, this sucks. It was great all show long. It's just like when I got to go meet at the end of the night and they give me the hard numbers because we don't control the ticketing in there. Yeah. That's when I was like, oh, man, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like, fuck, like, kind of pulls the rug out from underneath you a little bit.
Yeah. Brings you down to earth a little more.
Because I'm just a competitive person. I want that, you know what I mean? I always want to do better or as good as the last time. So, it was just, that was a little disappointing to me. But, again, we didn't know any of that until the end of the night. So, still 450 people in that place is fucking packed. You can only fit like 50, like I think it's like 55 more would be a sellout. I think it was 505 or maybe 515. I'd have to go back and look, but it's like, so it's just slightly over 5 for the sellout in January. So you couldn't have fit that many more people in there, but you just want, like, I just want them, obviously, like I want to hit that, to hit those goals and but as far as we knew, we were only 5 shy, when the show was going on. It still looked fucking packed. Mm-hmm. There's people everywhere. So still the exact energy and vibes that everybody wanted, and everybody went out and worked super hard.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Gauntlet. Gauntlet to me is just a show every year that I love. You know what I mean? Just the Rumble aspect of it. It's just something, something different. I'm really excited for Gauntlet. If you don't have tickets, we do Eventbrite for Gauntlet for Tadmore, correct? Eventbrite is where you can get the tickets for Gauntlet for the Gold 18. Get on those tickets. Is that
all over the social media? It's our annual 30-person Rumble Royale style main event. And then, we also announced a steel cage match at the Roxy with Sam Holloway and Derek. So we're going to have a steel cage match as well. I want to pack it. I want to pack the Shrine. I want to pack the Shrine. I want to pack the Globe Iron. I mean, these are serious goals to pack both those buildings. Mm-hmm. I think we can do it. I don't see. I think the shows have really come together as far as who our core kind of group is, and then mixing in some of these outside talents here and there, a good meet and greet. But I think just the level of work overall that's been happening the last few months in AIW has continued to excel. And I think, I know that not a lot of the cards announced for Gauntlet. In fact, I'm going to put up 2 more matches on Patreon when we're done podcasting, and then I'm still working on one other thing potentially. But this card's gonna go nuts in Akron on April 26th. It's fucking stacked for sure. I want to back that place.
It certainly has the makings to pack the place. In my opinion, you got a match that was announced first, Tom Lawler versus Haku. I think I posted on my Instagram or Facebook or whatever that match right there alone, worth the price of the ticket right there. I know there was a dream match for a bunch of people right around the COVID time, and a match that got canceled. Some other promotion was going to do it, but we're doing it instead. So this one's got, some time backing to it. I know there's a lot of people excited for this.
Haku's also going to be doing a meet and greet prior to the show, so he's not like a guy that is out and about a lot. So come meet him, on April 26th.
Scary man for sure. That is.
I met him once. I met him one time. Me and Nick Sanka met him actually. We were at a bar. We were at a bar in Orlando, and just outside of Orlando, actually. I think it was in like Kissimmee, Florida, and fucking Haku and Glacier were just in there having lunch.
No kidding. Were you in town for like something wrestling wise, or was just a random?
It was a WrestleMania weekend, but like this was like way away from everything. Mm-hmm. They were just having lunch.
Interesting. But yeah, definitely worth the price alone, just that match alone. And then, like you said, we have a steel cage match with Sam Holloway and Derek Dillinger. These two have really been, at each other's throats for quite some time now. And the funny thing is, when we got this steel cage recently in the last year or so, 2 years, whatever, I was really excited for it. I love steel cage matches, and the efficiency, I will say, in which Pedro and everyone is able to get this cage up and down is, part of the reason we're able to have this on these cards, because they really, especially at the Tadmore, they got this thing down to a science. I think they got it up the last time in like 9 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously when we did Terror at the Tadmore, it was a little bit more involved.
Oh, yeah.
That setup, the Terror cage and all that. But this is just straight steel cage. And you're right, because they can't do it so efficiently, that's why we're able to, to add this stipulation. Because it's not for a championship. It's not going to be a main event. So, it's got to land somewhere, on the undercard. And the fact that Pedro and everybody, it's really Pedro, and then he just kind of coordinates everybody. Mm-hmm. But the fact that they can get it up and down so quick, I was okay with adding this stipulation to a show like this. So, yeah, we're going to have a steel cage match, but maybe you should be thanking Pedro and his efficiency for the ability to have the steel cage match.
Yeah. Everybody, if you see him that night, let him know you appreciate him, because, otherwise, if that's a big thing, especially if it's not going to be a main event or something like that. You take 20 minutes, 25 minutes to be putting this cage up, the crowd is not going to appreciate something like that. The last time we did it, like I said, I want to say it was like 9 minutes or something. They're going to be mad at me if it was less than that, but it was ridiculously fast.
It was fast. I know that. It was pretty quick. So, yeah, we're gonna toss that on. It's probably going to be, coming out, I would imagine, coming out of the intermission. If I had to guess, I haven't, obviously put the show together, but just to keep efficiency moving. Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about, the next 2 months for sure. I think that there's a lot of good stuff. Been negotiating with some legendary figures for May the 16th. A couple old schoolers to be on the show. We're going to kind of we're going to keep it as current AIW as possible, but we're going to throw in some of the we're going to dabble in some old school flavor for the nights with it being the 20th anniversary show. So, I've been working on stuff like that. It's just been, there's a lot of good stuff planned for May 16th.
Yeah, I know that was kind of a question we've heard a few times in the Discord and Patreon, whatever, as far as, how many of the older names or kind of old guard you're going to see come back for something like this. So,
I mean, it's going to be difficult because, a lot of the alumni are not going to be permitted to show up, more than likely. That the alumni that people really would love to see.
Yeah.
Not to discount anybody else, but, there's some big stars that have come through the curtain at AIW. I would not anticipate any of those types of people showing up on May 16th. But, some of the old kind of, cornerstones of the company at different times and things like that, potentially will be there May 16th. There's some ongoing negotiations with some people to try to make something work, or maybe get a match together or something like that. So I think it's gonna be a fun night. You're gonna get a little bit of everything, and the return of Matt Cardona, who has been gone for quite some time from AIW. So I think that there's right now, I think 150 GA tickets left for what they have it set up for. So let's sell them out. And then, right now all seating is sold out except for that premium area, the deck. The deck, those are the only seats available to purchase, which I believe those are $75, but they're elevated seats above the ring, and you get a private bar and servers and some other stuff. I think a private entrance.
I think your own bathroom type thing too. I think I read on there.
Yeah, it's on the AXS website. When you look up Absolute Intense Wrestling, you'll be able to see the deck as an option to click on. Those are the only seats that are available. GA is GA. I think they may have some first come first serve seating out, but seating is not guaranteed with the GA. So right now, the only way you can get a guaranteed seat is if you purchase tickets in the deck section.
Obviously, not going to be in everyone's price range or something you could float for every show. But looking at where they are seat wise and just everything that's explained, man, that seems like it would be a pretty sweet experience at least once. If you can afford it, man, because it sounds pretty rad. Basically,
maybe those Goldsteins will buy out the whole deck.
The Goldstein package. To me, it reads like any gripe you would ever have about like a concert or an event or a venue, like long line or the bathroom or this, like you can't see, like the deck covers all of it. Like it just sounds so cherry. Like it sounds sweet, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I haven't been in there, so I don't even know what it's like at all, but I think it sounds cool. I'm hopeful that we can show them that we can pull a big crowd. Obviously, they're taking a chance on putting us on a Friday night in their first month of opening. Mm-hmm. So that's a big risk from that venue. We obviously don't want to disappoint them.
Yeah. Going forward, you want to go over some questions we got here in the Discord? If you join our Patreon, we open it up. We put a post in there for questions. If you want to get in our Discord and ask questions, anything you're wondering about AIW as a whole, you can put them in there, and then we'll answer them here on the podcast. We're actually even going to be recording a Patreon exclusive Ask John Thorne Anything. Obviously, by the time you hear this, you won't be able to ask a question for that, but that is something we do periodically. We'll put up these Patreon exclusive type podcasts, stuff like that. So join the Patreon, get in the Discord, start asking questions.
We have been putting out quite a bit of like premium content too on the Patreon and the YouTube membership. Things that we're releasing on the YouTube subscription service, we're also releasing in certain tiers of the Patreon. And we've been knocking out some additional content for sure, different types of interviews and things with people that normally you wouldn't get to see. Pedro's been knocking out a bunch. Dustin knocked some out a couple months ago. We have a huge backlog of stuff to go out. So lots of additional content up on the Patreon as well. As the YouTube subscription model that we have going on our YouTube channel. So yeah, there's a lot of content being pushed out. We're going to do this special podcast for Patreon after this. But there's been a lot of good, video format interviews going up on Patreon as well. Long one with Steve Carino. There's one with Dustin Alberti and Malcolm Cambridge.
Mikey's got one, I think, too, right?
There's a Mikey Montgomery interview. There's Matthew Justice, Tom Lawler. There's a out of character kind of interview with the Duke, which is very interesting. So there's all kinds of premium content going up on the Patreon. So check it out.
We also have, the show from the summer that we did at the Who Farted Brewery in Columbus. We did 4 different kind of spot shows during the day, and I know those are going
3
up.
shows.
Oh, we did 3?
Yeah, those are all. Yeah, there's 3. They're all up.
Okay, I thought it was 4.
All 3 sessions are up. Yeah, all 3 sessions up for that. We put up Slammed on 6th, kind of like a fan cam version, no commentary, but you can watch Slammed on 6 on Patreon right now. As well as the YouTube membership. So there's a lot of content going up on there. We're trying to just push out as much stuff as possible, and hopefully people like it.
Yeah, so definitely check out the Patreon, subscribe to our YouTube membership. Like we've said before, obviously if you're on an iPhone or any type of Apple product, you want to use an actual web browser to subscribe. A bit of a block on Apple products just from your regular YouTube app. So if you're having trouble with it, go to an actual browser and do the subscription portion. And once you sign back in and all that, it'll be all available in your apps. You just, for whatever reason, Apple and Google and all them are separate, but all that, yeah. We've discussed this at nauseum before, but God only knows first time listeners gotta
it's like
keep
the NWO and DX, they just can't work together.
But a couple questions coming from there. Our good friend Scott Random's always curious about a few things. He said something he'd been curious about for a few years, actually. During the Odeon era, Eddie only made an appearance with a new wealthy persona where he flew in via a helicopter or something, he says. I don't remember anything about a helicopter. I remember Eddie only in a suit, but I don't remember the helicopter. He asks, unless you plan to finish that story in the future, can you share where that was supposed to go or kind of what was pitched if it wasn't your original idea?
You said this is about who? Eddie Only?
Yeah. Do you remember when Eddie Only came back out of nowhere and he was like real rich? I want to say that was one of my first shows, and you're like, just gave him a mic, go out there and said make fun of people or something like that.
Yeah, I think he was maybe pitching about coming back and doing something different, and I didn't really have much input on it at all. He wanted to be a heel and kind of do his best kind of Tracy Smothers tribute, and go out there and try to get heat. And I believe Luke Gallows came out, or not Luke Gallows. It was his alter ego came out. And
yeah. What is his name, dude? Something.
Ferguson.
Sex Ferguson. That was it. Yeah, dude. What was I thinking? Sex Ferguson.
Yeah,
man, I haven't thought about that in a while.
I think it was I think it was just kind of a spot for Sex Ferguson to do something on the show, and then Eddie wanting to try something, and then Eddie disappeared again. So he's kind of he's always kind of been in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. He's a man of many businesses and different things going on in his life. So I don't know that there's necessarily a plan other than he wanted to give doing some heel work a shot and do some mic work. And, we thought, okay, well, Sex Ferguson's here. This will be a good way for him to come out and, do something on the show as well. So it's kind of like a one-time thing, and then, there wasn't really a long-term plan for it.
Yeah. I know for a while he had chickens, so maybe if he still has those chickens, he probably just doesn't need the money. He's rolling in that egg money now, selling all the chicken eggs. So that's probably why he's disappeared. He just doesn't need the money,
Yeah, he's got all kinds of different businesses, tattoo shops, and he's buying and selling cars and different things. He's a real mover and a shaker.
Yeah. Well, shouts out to Eddie Only wherever you're at, brother. Going forward, our good friend Harley wants to know, was Meng working a match added after the meet and greet was booked, or was that kind of always part of the plan? Is that what you had in mind? You kind of thought, usually when you negotiate these deals, they give you, if they're wrestling, they give you a price for wrestling and then a price for just a meet and greet type deal.
It was all previously negotiated as like a all-in, fee or whatever you want to call it. Like it was negotiated in advance. I mean, it's all through an agent, like a third party, that's helped us out a bunch of times already. So pretty reliable, and we went over the terms and what the terms would be for a match, and it was all negotiated in advance. We just wanted to get that teaser graphic out there initially, and then kind of do it in two waves, with the teaser graphic going out, and then the match graphic being the first thing announced, and then just kind of ride that wave of excitement. I mean, you never know how people are going to react to things, but I was excited for it, and I was hopeful if we announced it as a teaser poster, people would get excited, and then if we waited, then announced the match, people get really excited. I think that is the general reaction that we got. I mean, you never know, but that was kind of the planning behind how we rolled out the announcements. But it was always in the cards for him to have a match.
Yeah. Harley's also curious. I think I kind of know the answer for this one, but he's curious, will anyone be in Vegas for Mania or any of the other plethora of shows going on? I know people always say, like, everyone assumes that because Duke's a big Vegas guy, Duke would be going. But like you said, Duke is going there to play cards and play cards only. He ain't going to Vegas for Mania or any of that. You know what I mean?
Last time I was in Vegas, it happened to coincide with Duke also being in Vegas, and whatever hotel is comping the Duke to gamble there, he does not leave that property. He doesn't even go outside.
Doesn't need to.
He works out a deal with whatever place wants him to gamble, because he's the type of gambler where they send him a charter flight and roll out the suites and things like that.
You roll out the red carpet for the Hoss Division champion, bro. He's got that.
He does not leave the premises. So if the Duke is in Vegas, which the Duke has said multiple times, like, hey, I can get comp rooms. If in fact he is in Vegas, he's not leaving whatever place is giving him a comp room. So unless there is a wrestling event going on inside the Cosmopolitan, I don't think the Duke, if he's in Vegas, will be seen by anybody.
It was funny, kind of when you were talking about that, you were talking about the group chat about, you're like, man, these prices are kind of insane. Like, I don't even know. Like, you were like, I just kind of was checking it out, and Duke was like, oh no, I could get you a comp room right now. Like, where do you want to stay? And I was like, damn, dude.
Yeah, I was like, but yeah, I don't plan on going. I don't know if I know Dom has a few things lined up.
Yeah,
I think Jocelyn has at least a match or two. But I don't know that anybody else internally is really going. I know Pedro's certainly not going. He's just very upset about the corporate price tags of all things WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, some of them are insane though. We've been looking at a lot of it. You know, anytime anyone comes across a new event or whatever, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of people like asked us, you know, early on, will we run an event, and I said absolutely not. And I'm happy that I made that decision because, you know, there's like a chart I saw, and it has well over 100 different events on it.
Yeah. I just think
logistically,
too. Logistically, it would just be a nightmare for us. You know.
Well, logistically, yeah, but I mean, I just don't know when you're going up against 100 different things that cost $100, or you know, who's coming to see AIW? I don't know. You know, I would love to have a giant ego and say everybody's coming, but I'm smart enough to know that probably nobody's coming. So. I'm staying in Cleveland.
There's just so many things. Like you said, it's like we were looking at, it's like, okay, this is going up against this, and then this is going up against this, and this, and this. And you're like, there's just, like you said, even if you had a big enough ego to say, oh, you know, we draw this or that, there's so many options that it's just, and especially in a town like Vegas, man, where it's a bigger town. If you're not.
Yeah, that's not even taking into consideration Vegas, right?
Yeah,
like,
right.
The ultimate competition.
Built
Vegas.
in, yeah, right. Like there's not stuff to do there already.
Right. Like, fuck. Why do I want to go see an indie show when I go see David Copperfield? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'd be, you know, checking out fucking Penn and Teller or something.
I think, I don't know. I know Trombetta, the pharmacist, has talked about maybe he might be out there. So if you're looking for fans, I don't know as far as fan wise go. If you're going, hit the Discord. You know, find Harley in the Discord and maybe make plans if some fans are going out there. Like we had just discussed, there's plenty of things going on wrestling wise. If you plan to go out to,
it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy. I know our buddy Little Dill's going to be out there making his big return to the family, doing a official WWE autograph signing as Hornswoggle at WWE The World. So, you know, that's pretty cool for him. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure you'll see a million people out there. There's so many shows. I know Alec Price is on a bunch of shows as well. But yeah, there is so much to do. I don't even know how anybody could even fathom it. You know, there's also non-wrestling events going on, like podcasts and, you know, just different things or parties. And there's just so much to do. But as much as I would love to go, I think it is at a certain point just too much to do to where you can't be everywhere at once. So it's just better to just not be there at all.
Yeah, fair. Scott wanted to know, Scott Random again, he had questions coming out of Barely Lethal. There was a little bit of a health kind of scare. Jeff Steele had a little bit of an injury going into that. I believe it was nothing, you know, sustained, you know, nothing big that, you know, should be too worried about. Am I right?
Yeah, as far as I know, everything is all good with him. So, you know, it might have just been just a little precautionary, or, you know, a little, you know, he is new. You know,
that's what I was gonna say.
Two matches, you know, like, so could just be, you know, something he's not used to, or, you know, he's still learning and things like that. But as far as I know, I've not been informed of any sort of injury or, you know, anything like that. So I think it was just kind of you know, shock of the moment sort of thing.
Fair enough. So like we said, if you do have any questions or anything you want to say, or, you know, questions you want to ask, get into the Patreon, sign up for our Patreon, get in the Discord, and fire away. Anything else you want to get to before we get out of here, record this, Ask John Thorne, anything?
No, I mean, just, you know, we're going to try to do this again next week. And, you know, obviously do the hard sell the week of Gauntlet. But I would love to sell out those remaining floor seats for Gauntlet on April 26th. I believe as of right now, there's only 10 second rows left and maybe 15 third rows left. So I would love to, I would really just love to pack that place. I'm trying to, I'm trying to convince myself with as much positive momentum, as possible, to keep this thing going. I go back and forth on it, like crazy. And, I would love to bookend it at 20. I think it's just so, like, it makes sense. It's like easy to just say 20 years. That's it.
No, we can't, but we got to keep going.
At the same time, it's also, as long as, we can keep that upward trajectory or that even trajectory, even, it's sustaining itself as well, for the most part. So, when I think of it like that, it's just like, it is a lot of stress and it is a lot of problems and it is a lot of other stuff, but I also like really thrive in those environments, I feel. And I don't know what I would do if I wasn't doing it. So, I go back and forth on that, but I would really, and I'm probably going to make a decision here soon. But I would really like to get that positive momentum going for April and May for sure.
Gauntlet for the gold, one you can't miss. We got, like we said, our Royal Rumble style match, 30 entrants. That's definitely worth the price alone. So come on out, get those tickets, get on AIW Eventbrite, search Absolute Intense Wrestling on Eventbrite, it'll pop up for you. April 26th at the Tadmore Shrine in Akron, Ohio, and then get tickets for our 20th anniversary show, our first show at Globe Iron, back down in Cleveland proper in the Flats. We will be representing in Cleveland once again, so get your tickets for that. I believe it's dice.com where you get the tickets for that.
No, AXS.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Dice. Dice is the
Dice
Roxy.
Is for the Roxy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. AXS.com. I apologize.
Yeah, AXS tickets.
Any of the socials will have links and stuff to those too. If you're ever in any hard time, hit Instagram, Facebook, that type of stuff. You should be able to square it down.
Wes Barkley's dad was like, I got more fucking apps because of this company. He's like, Jesus. He's just like, I got a Dice app. I got an AXS app. I got an Eventbrite. He's like, I got YouTube. He goes, I had Fight. I had IWTV. He goes, what do you? He's like, just make one yourself so I could delete all these.
That'd be great. I'm sure. Headache. I'm sure, but eventually that'd be great. But yeah, man, that's
So it is hard. It is hard to keep up. I know everyone. It's tough. It's tough to keep up, but. These venues, the venues will venue. That's what they do.
Yeah. Everyone's
got their own like little ticketing thing going on, and then if they don't, we can use our Eventbrite and do it ourselves. So yeah, that's where we're at. But so AXS tickets for the 20th anniversary. All ringside seating is sold out. I would love to sell the rest of those GAs and walk in advance with that show being sold out. That would be wonderful.
Let's see some more deck seating get sold too. Big ballers, where are you at? Where's my big money hustlers at? Let's get out there and buy some of those deck seatings.
I know Ray Highclack got them.
Nice.
He was the first guy. He was like, I'm sitting up there.
He knows. It's a man of class right there. Knows what he wants. All right. Well, for myself, for John Thorne, for everybody else at AIW, we'll see you next time. Thanks.